Okay. Welcome everyone to Tabletop RPG, The Archives. Today I am joined by Theodore. How you doing, my friend?
Well, how about yourself?
Doing alright. So, here at The Archives, we are going to dive into a book of Tabletop RPG since I have so many, and we are going to examine, break it down, and see what we think of the system. Last time, me and Rob did Classroom Deathmatch based on some very popular manga and TV shows in Japan and movies that kind of did the whole student reform program thingy. So Battle Royale was one of the bigger, uh, what do you call it, inspirations for it. So let's see what they did with Digimon and see what we are doing there. So according to this is like the super 0.08 update edition, so this is very early beta, I guess, for them. But let's see what they have going. So that's the first page. And once we get past that, there's only like 22 pages for this. So the index looks like, yeah, it's very small, but it looks like it at least has most of it going for it. And it looks like, according to the update log, the last update was in 2013.
Well, not that updated if you see.
Unless this is like the final version that they threw out, but I mean, this is the only one I found on it, so.
Well, let's take a look and we'll see what they got.
Pretty much. So next. So we have Digimon role-playing adventure game. Hello and welcome, new and returning game masters and players to Digimon Digital Adventure. The game about playing kids and their Digimon partners as well as their adventures in the digital world. In the game, you take on the role of the Digidestined Children, or Digitamer, as they are sometimes called, and their Digimon allies. One player, however, takes on the role of the Game Master, GM for short, narrates the actions and scenes that your Digimon would encounter along the travels, be it human or other Digimon. So, I mean, they leave it open for you, and they pretty much give you just a small roll down of the Digimon background and such. So, I mean, for those that are not familiar, though I can't imagine many that aren't, Digimon's a popular anime, basing itself around the time that Pokemon came out, actually, originally. And it's been going for just as strong and just as long as Pokemon, with many of its own incarnations and seasons that have come out.
Even though one would say that in comparison to Pokemon's popularity, Digimon has just now started becoming more popular with the newer games being Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory, and the remakes from Digimon World 1 and whatnot that came out around when this update came out for this game. I guess it's got 2013, 2014. Now I do want to say, just listening to the opening of this book, it sounds like this is more so a game that is focused on like season one, Digimon Adventure type kind of things, because it's talking about the Digidestin kids, and their Digimon partners and whatnot in the digital world, which is where that was pretty much set. Like every other kind of season of Digimon, I mean, season two kind of went there, three and four were kind of they weren't really in a digital world. I'd rather. I'm not gonna go into the whole history of Digimon right now.
That's a full discussion for next time. But yeah, so that's just the base chapter of this, and then the explanations of the digital world and Digimon itself. And like I said, Digimon is short for digital monster.
If that wasn't.
And they go from the in training stage, which is essentially a baby, to the mega evolution of it, which takes a lot of power and such to make such a thing happen. And then they give you all the little things about Digimon, like what group of family they're in, and what kind of okay, here we go. In alphabetical order, the 10 families of Digimon. They are in the dark area, the deep savers, the Dragon's Roar, the Jungle Troopers, the Metal Empire, the Nature Spirits, the Nightmare Soldiers, the Unknown, the Virus Busters, and the Wind Guardians. For information on the family, see page 19. Okay, so they have more information and page for that.
Now,
But really, there's really nothing else here to really give you much of a background on Digimon. I mean, essentially, I would just go looking up Digi-Evolution or Digivolving videos to kind of just get at least like some fun out of this. Besides that,
now, when they're talking about families, what they really mean are allegiances, because every Digimon is a part of a faction in the digital world, and each one of those things is a different faction. For example, Nightmare Soldiers usually has things like the Devimon, Lady Devimon, and the more demonic type Digimon in it. And let's see, Metal Empire, essentially the cyborg Digimon, Unimon, Androidmon, High Androidmon, some not ones like Mamemon and such and such. I mean, they're just classifications. Like a Pokemon has like fire types, water types, Pokemon,
right?
Essentially. And to that end, with types, as we may know, or some people may know, Digimon have the virus, vaccine, data types, which work in a rock, paper, scissors with one another, with vaccine beating virus, virus beating data, data beating vaccine. Right. So it's a simplistic version of that, and then it kind of gets more complicated once you add elements and whatnot to it. But I don't think this game will go that deep into it, because if they did, one is amazing because it's going to be a little hard tracking. Oh, this Digimon has this type and does this elemental damage and blah 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 yada yada. That would be a little much for the GM to keep track of, especially since there are also free type Digimon, which I don't think this will list. But free type Digimon are Digimon that don't count as virus, vaccine, or data.
Gotcha.
Most notable one being like the Vmon evolutions. They're like Flame Dramon, the armor Digimon versions of Flame Dramon,
Rhydmon,
or
Lightningmon, whatever his name was, Magnamon.
Any of the armor Digimon evolution. I don't know why it's not popping up in my head, but yes, the armor Digivolution ones are all free types, and they don't have a distinction. They don't have, and to that end, they don't have any weaknesses either. But they tend to be a little bit weaker than the ones that do.
Got it. Okay. So let's see. So now we have character creation. Okay, so after the basic explanations of Digimon, the Digidestined and stuff, what we got here is a character system. You pretty much make a character, and it says here you have the 5 core attributes of agility, body, charisma, intelligence, and willpower.
No strength?
I'm guessing...
Oh, body. It's under body.
Yeah, so it's under body, yeah. So from this... Each one rolled... Okay, so... Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, so they get a bunch of bonuses and stuff when you go a little bit deeper according to this. But what we're really looking for is you're looking at the attributes of the tamer. This is all tamer attributes. And for the character creation, let's see. So the human character, while often frail and incapable within the realm of the Digimon on human combat, can occasionally hold their own against smaller and less powerful Digimon. Against more powerful Digimon, however, their Digimon partner is there to help and defend. Most Digimon are often incapable of the most complex skills of a human character and so require their help. Both halves of the Digimon human partnership complete and complement each other. Each kid has things they are good at, with these skills and abilities often have significance within the system of Digimon digital adventures. For instance, one kid could be a computer genius while the other is charming. While another kid is considered for their state karate championship, these skills and abilities are the core of the human character in the form of attributes and skills. Digidestined children also have aspects, things that define them beyond skills and attributes, often in the forms of phrases and descriptors. aspects add additional facets to a human character, as well as provide a bonus to things that the character does that are related to an aspect. Finally, a human character has torments. Torments are issues that follow the poor kid around and are ideally resolved while they are adventuring in the digital world.
So let me get this straight.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling you have to make your character with anxiety. You have to give your character some kind
or
of
something,
of issue that they have, and throughout the game, hey, your issue is going to end up being resolved maybe. And if
this also gives the GM something to work with. It's kind of like making a background for your character.
Well, let me put it this way. Let's say I wanted to make a character who was like the all-around guy, the guy who wasn't really good at anything, but found himself lost in the digital world on accident. And I get a Digimon, partner, and yes, while not having a detriment to yourself, would make it harder for the DM to say, well, this is what we're going to work towards, this is what we're going to do this, this is what we're going to do that. Trying to solve all of the characters, like when it's just me, it's fine. But trying to solve every single character's main issue or hold-ups by the time the game ends, and doing it in a way that is meaningful to the other characters, because they're going to have to be there while you're working on character A's issues. Character B, C, and D are going to be looking at it like, unless they're the ones helping to solve that issue, and then you move on to another person's issue. So it's going to make the game I can already see this dragging down the game a little bit in the whole, well, we're here messing with John's issues, but John's issues don't have anything to do with us, so...
But that's the thing, like, if you're a bad GM and you don't really know how to work something like that in, then it's like, yeah, just don't worry about stuff like that, because then, fuck it.
Here's the hint to that, Nick. There are a lot of bad GMs out there, and there are people who, when they tell stories, they will focus on different, like, they'll set aside what stories they want to tell, and they'll focus on character-related storylines that kind of are separate to the character, but they don't make it interactive for the other characters. I know this isn't just fit for the Digimon one, but it's just that for this version of character creation, it feels like it's kind of a built-in issue where that's going to come up more often than not.
Right.
Rather than it being a side thing that, hey, why don't you tell me some backstory about your character, blah, 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 and the DM makes it up, like with Dungeons & Dragons or any other type of game like that. I'm sorry for going on a little bit of a tangent there, but...
But it makes sense, though. I mean, like, I don't like it when I don't have anything to work off a character, so to give them something to build off of is fine. But the Digimon themselves have 5 core attributes, each one rolled for when things get hairy in the realm of combat. For those 5 attributes, they possess 3 derived attributes based on the core attributes. A Digimon's stage also influences how much health it has, while its size determines how fast they are in various forms of movement. Mm-hmm. In addition to the above, each Digimon can buy up special qualities that are based on their form or based on various preferences that the Digimon might have, as well as detailing the various attacks that the Digimon might have. For older Digidescents, some GM may allow additional CP to be spent, as well as raising the limit on attributes. For teenagers, distribute 40 CP and raise the limit on skills and attributes to 7. For adults, have players distribute 50 CP up to a number of 10 in an attribute or skill. Do keep in mind that the basic system assumes that players will be playing children aged 7 to 12.
Which is around the age of people who got into
I missed a part here because this was lower. Human character creation. Starting out, human characters have 30 creation points, or CP, to buy up their skills, attributes, and skills. Each kid has all 5 attributes at 0 and all 15 skills at 0. With both skills and attributes capping out at 5, you spend CP on the 2 areas on a 1-for-1 basis. So it's a 1-for-1 basis character creation buying. Mm-hmm. Increasing them until you are satisfied with your human character with no more than 15 CP spent in any one area. Attributes are limited to having 1 at 4 and the rest no higher than 3 at creation. The same applies to skills. What follows is a short summary of the attributes and skills.
Hold on.
What?
Okay. So it's a point-to-point system, and you get 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
So you take 15 of those points.
They just don't want you to spend more than 15 in one area.
Because then you could literally spend, if you could spend as many points as you want, you could literally spend them all and just max out your stats. Like, oh, I have 5 in my agility, my body, my charisma, my intelligence, and my willpower, and I just don't have a lot of points and attributes. Think about it, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And you have 5 points left over to go into whatever thing.
You'd have 5 points left, yeah. But, I mean, I think they're just mainly, it's like, because otherwise you just don't really get much in skills afterwards, and there's quite a few skills, I think. But you get agility, body, charisma, intelligence, and willpower. So agility, a measure of a kid's manual dexterity and general reflexes. Agility covers throwing things, jumping out of the way of objects or monsters, and your overall coordination. Body, the sum of the tamer's strength and constitution. The body is often used with skills that govern your enhanced and physical power. Charisma, a kid's force of will and perseverance. Charisma measures a Digidestined's overall persuasiveness and likability, especially when telling someone what they want to hear. Intelligence, how smart and knowledgeable the Digidestined is. Intelligence is how well read you are in a variety of subjects, as well as figuring out what people say or want. Willpower, the tamer's sense of self and overall focus. Willpower is commonly linked to skills that rely on your force of will as well as your ability to perceive the world around you.
So you have low willpower, you're crazy?
I don't know. Probably. So agility-related skills are dodge, fight, and stealth. Body-related skills are athletics, endurance, and feats of strength. Charisma-related are manipulate, perform, persuade. Intelligence-related are computer, decipher intel, and knowledge. And then willpower has perception and survival. Aspects. Each kid has something unique about them that sets them apart from others. Some might have brains, others brawn, or some have finely developed social skills. Your kid has 3 aspects about them that will aid and possibly harm them along the way. These aspects should be descriptive and add to the character. Though they have a small chance of hindering a character on occasion, some examples are great sense of justice, funny fat guy, or wise beyond your years. When an aspect might come into play for a stat roll, the player adds an additional +2 to the roll. If you have a great sense of justice, it may add to a related roll to face down a bully. The funny fat guy would get bonus perform rolls to help lighten the otherwise gloomy mood. Someone wise beyond their years would gain a +2 to related roll when they were being reliable and dispensing as much advice as planned. And then there's hinders, which take away -2 in that same aspect.
Do you gain points for taking them?
Oh, if the aspect would hinder you in the situation. So, like, the person with great sense of justice would take the penalty when they are facing an evil opponent who is much stronger than you. Really?
Yeah, because you won't be able to exact your justice because that person is stronger than you.
Aspects can be described as an environment around your character. The cave is not just a cave. It is a dark and cramped tunnel. Okay, so a dark and cramped tunnel is a great place to hide, especially for some digi-creep that is out to get you. In such a situation, you get a +2 to your 3d6 plus agility plus stealth roll to hide yourself. Successful rolls mean that whoever was after you happens to overlook you and goes on their way. Torment.
In other words, the drama.
Yep. So, essentially for Torment, it's you... Let's see. Here we go. So, Sometimes you encounter problems and have them thrust upon you via unfortunate circumstances, and you acquire an additional torment. Torments come in 3 varieties and have various ratings: minor, major, and terrible. Kids start with 2 minor torments on one major torment at the least. You could take more than the starting 1 or 2 torments if you wish, but you gain no bonuses for additional flaws. Minor torments are those that that are not very crippling, but can still affect you as a kid, or can still affect the kid. From the range of crybaby, being unable to make friends when you are the new kid, or simply being in the middle of a messy divorce. Major torments last a long time and are quite often stressful for the kids. Some examples are being your younger brother's keeper, fearing combat because it will certainly injure your partner, being so hurt by reality to the point of retreating into fantasy.
I think the majority of us have this one.
That's a pretty good call. Terrible torments should never happen to anyone. These are things that will break wills, cause kids to lose all hope for the future, and even cause them to become swallowed by the darkness. One of the best ways to gain a terrible torment is when a kid sees someone they care about dying right in front of them. If you choose to, you could spend some of your 30 CP on taking steps to get rid of your torments, essentially coming into the game with a little headway made toward making peace with your history. You can only spend enough points to mark off up to 2 or more minor, 3 for major, and 5 for terrible for 1 box per point spent.
Okay. A little bit of a DM note here, or something that I would say would be a DM note here. You shouldn't allow your player to buy off their torments or their flaws in this case. I think this should be something that is, if you are going to work it off through game, do it that way. Otherwise, it creates a character change of, well, I was afraid of this, but now I'm not.
Probably. I mean, it could also just be from the experience of the adventurer that does it for you, but, I mean, it could be either or. Each type of torment has a number of boxes associated with it. Minor has 5, major 7, and terrible 10. If you're confronted with your torment, be in the form of a child in danger and you could do nothing about it, or simple campfire recollections bring up dreadful past, you roll 3d6 plus willpower minus your unmarked torment boxes with a goal of rolling above 15. If you succeed, then you make a little headway towards resolving that torment, marking off another box. So you could do that too. Failure results in your kid becoming sullen and withdrawn for a short time and making no progress towards resolving your torment. A result of a 5 or lower, your kid becomes sullen and withdrawn to the point where others notice it and probably aggravate the situation to the point where you ditch the group. 0 or less causes you to become catatonic or reduce you to a blubbering mess, quite possibly at the worst time. Note that players can activate their character's torments once per session per torment. Anything after that is done at the whim of the GM.
It should all be done at the whim of the GM. The player shouldn't be, oh, this is the time when my torment activates. I'm going to activate my torment unless there was a benefit to doing that.
Rounding out the Digidestin, each kid has a number of wound boxes equal to their body plus 2, with a minimum of 2. These wound boxes are marked off over the course of a fight if a kid decides to engage in combat with another player or even a Digimon. A kid has a speed rating equal to their agility plus 2. If worse comes to worse, you know who can outrun the angry Digimon chasing you. In addition to the above traits, give your Digidestined character a name, gender, age, and perhaps a few quirks of dress and a short physical description. These help to flesh out the traits and make them feel more human in an otherwise digital world. The following are 10 questions for you to think about to help flesh out your character or tamer. What does your character look like? What sort of distinguished features do they possess? What is their home life like? Their parents? Does the character have any siblings? What are they like? Is your character religious or superstitious? Does your character excel in school? If so, what subjects are their favorite and they best at? What sort of activities does your character participate in? Do they have any fears or things that make them anxious? What are their hobbies? What would your character be carrying in their pockets or backpack? What does your character have as a special talent or skill?
With this, like, I understand that the game is set up to do these with Digidestined kids, but they do give options for teenagers and adults, especially in the adult case. A lot of these questions that you're going to ask yourself are going to be slightly different because,
Of course.
but just keep that in mind. Like, this game is completely like worded towards the Digidestined kid factor, but I'll leave it at that. If you want to continue, Nick, I'm sorry.
Okay. So, the following is alright. So Digimon building. So Digimons at rookie level get 25 points to be placed. The 6 stats are accuracy, damage, dodge, armor, and health. Then you have qualities. Now qualities will also take up DP. So the qualities you can pick up are agility, area attack, armor piercing up to 3 ranks of it, attack effect, which essentially gives a attack a status of fear, immobilize, knockback, taunt, poison, paralysis, confuse, stun, blind, paralysis again, charm, and weaken. Brainy up to 3 ranks of it, certain strike up to 3 ranks of that, charge attack, combat awareness up to 3 ranks of that, combat monster, counterattack, let's see, data optimization, which the Digimon is geared more towards a certain method of fighting than others. When you buy this quality, choose one of the following options for that Digimon to optimize. So you essentially get more dice in one area, but suffer in another area. There's Digger, there's Flight, there's Hide in Plain Sight, there's Holy Ring, there's Huge Power, Improved Derived Stat, so there's a derived stat somewhere, Mighty Blow, Mode Change, Quick Healer, Resistant, Speedy, Swimmer, and Weapon.
Alright, so much to unpack with all of this.
There is essentially a lot of characteristic there that can go into it. The Digimon's attacks, did you want to comment on the stats and qualities?
I actually wanted to comment on the customizations because certain Digimon you would assume would already have these kind of things. For example, Beelmon. You would be able to assume that one, Beelmon can fly because it's a freaking bird. Or Salamon having the holy ring on its tail if you play Digimon at all. Like, that shouldn't be something that you'd have to buy for it or...
No, but these are Digimon that you're making. So if you're making your own Digimon, like what are those characteristics for your stuff?
So they're actually saying, hey, you want to build your own Digimon with its own name, you're not following any of the Digimon things, because that's alright.
But
this system is, especially for a rookie Digimon, this system is thrived for, what's the word I want to say, abuse. Like, I can see a player making an extremely broken rookie Digimon off of this. I mean, especially with the amount of points that they are given.
25 points, and there's still a 1-to-1 system for the stats. So you gotta fill 6 stats up, and you have to end up essentially making your character do something out of this still. So you can get some points out of it. I don't know. I guess it really does depend on how well you build your Digimon and optimize their points.
See, what I'd love to do is talk to you, like, kind of going into depth into Digimon making more than the kid making, even though we should do that as well.
So the kid making is really, I mean, you make yourself as a kid if you really want to. You know, but the Digimon are different, so.
No, what I mean by that is, like, for example, to the people listening, like, this is an example, kid. This is little Theodore. Little Theodore has this, that, blah, 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 you know, going through something like that. Or with my own fake Digimon, Snow Betamon, which is just a white colored Betamon. And then I would give...
And then does ice attacks and stuff.
Yeah, and does ice attacks and stuff. But sitting here building a Digimon and showing how busted that I can make it with the amount of points would be it. But I know you want to get through the rest of the book, so maybe we could do this at a different time, and I can like show examples. Like, okay,
I'll tell you what we can do.
Yeah.
One day we will go ahead and sit down and make a character for this because I kind of want to do this with Danny and Mandy too. So at one point we will do this and sit down with it.
all right.
Digimon attacks. The next step after building the basics of your Digimon is the detail in its attacks. Each Digimon has between 2 and 5 attacks, each one having different effects. To describe attacks, we assign them tags that give the player or GM an idea of what attack does beyond just an attack. Attacks have the melee or range tag, meaning the attack can only be performed on enemies that are near with the melee, or attack performed at distance with the attack that possesses the ranged tag. Attacks with the range tag follow special rules for their usage called range and movement rules, which can be found on page 13. So in addition to the melee and range tag, an attack has either the damage tag, meaning it does straight damage, or an effect tag, which means that the attack purely has a special effect, worked out with your GM based on the leftover dice. Some attacks have both the damage and effect tags, meaning that it can damage and have a special effect. An attack like that requires you to deal at least 2 points of damage at the minimum.
That's going to be complicated to rule as fuck if you're the GM.
Well, I mean, it's GM's choice. Derived stats and size and speed. Much like humans, Digimon have basic skill and aptitude in various physical and mental tasks. These derived attributes are the averages of 2 or more of the Digimon's 5 core stats. A Digimon possesses an agility stat, a body stat, and a brain stat. These are generalized stats that are used much like a Digidestin's, only without the skill and training of the tamer skills. Here is how to calculate Digimon's derived stats. So agility is accuracy and dodge, accuracy plus dodge divided in half. Then it's damage, armor, health divided in threats. And then accuracy plus stage bonus, which the stage bonus, I don't know where that is.
Stage bonus, like rookie, champion.
Yeah, but I'm guessing there's supposed to be a number for it. But I don't see
There it
one. Is that it?
Yes. See, for a fresh or baby, it's -1. For in training,
That's
it's
the
0.
brains.
Yeah, that's the bonus.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So that's the bonus for it. Digimon's ability is added to 3d6 roll whenever its speed and dexterity is tasked. Excuse me. So, I mean, that is pretty much, I mean, that's all it is they're just pretty much telling you how, like what the stats do, what to roll for it.
So here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Who's controlling the Digimon, the player or the GM?
The player.
So the player controls both their Digimon and their Digidestined kid.
Yep.
Does that seem a little weird to you?
No, not really. That makes sense to me.
Do you mind if
I mean, because like because remember, your Digimon is supposed to be like a best buddy almost. How like Agumon was kind of like Tai, just not exactly, and even Gabumon was kind of like Matt, also not exactly. Like they took on traits of their Digidestined. So you wouldn't want the DM to misrepresent how your character would want. Like I'm just gonna throw this out there because this will be something somebody will ask along the line. If you wanted to play LGBT representation and you're kind of flamey, but you're kind of like flowery, and then you're also kind of butch or whatever, like you wouldn't want a Digimon who's like all fire and firecrackers all the time, and you know, it's like that's not the LGBT representation or blah blah blah. So I mean, it makes sense to me. Like I wouldn't want anybody else playing my damn Digimon because, well, I mean, first of all, the character I would want to make would be my character I made right when like season 2 of Digimon was a thing, and my character kind of bases itself off the season 4 line of Digivolution thinking, where I just spirit evolution and I get to be my Digimon for reasons.
Well, in that case, I would say, of course you would control your Digimon because your Digimon is you. But, like, for example, from Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3, where the Digimon were separate from the players, and that the Digimon had their own wants and desires and whatnot, and the Digimon, in turn, some Digimon actually did not listen to their tamers and whatnot. There were points where the Digimon, they listened to them, but they, like, one kind of instance. Remember back in season 1 of Digimon where Tai was all in an upfire rush to try to digivolve Agumon,
and then it became Skull Greymon.
Yeah, he did not give a shit about how Agumon felt about it. He was like, no, you have to be stronger. And so he purposely put himself into danger so that Agumon would evolve, because every time he put himself into danger, Agumon would evolve, they'd get stronger, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And Agumon has his own feelings, too. Like, the way that it feels for me is that the player should, for combat, maybe, be in control of their Digimon or anything like that. But anything that the Digimon, anything like the Digimon wants to do, any of their desires, any of that kind of thing, that should be more of kind of like the DM should have, here's what I want my Digimon to act like and whatnot, such and such and but the Digimon themselves have the things they want, and the kids can't really determine that. Yes, the kids and the Digimon kind of do work with each other the same way that Pokemon do. Pokemon start acting like their trainers a little bit, but you have to understand that, again, these Digimon are digital monsters. There are still things about them that will continue to be constant. And so it feels like to me that the DM should have sort of a lighter hand of guiding what the Digimon does, while the players control their kid or adult or middle-aged character and whatnot doing their Digimon thing and whatnot.
Well, I mean, if you really want to do that, then, I mean, there's also roles. I mean, you could sit there and have, like, you know, this is stuff that the GM would have to take down and the player keep on their sheet. But if, like, oh, my Agumon is kind of a brat sometimes and, like, will kind of be, like, if there's not a serious task or they don't find it to be a serious task, like,
they don't take it seriously.
They might not take it seriously. So I could be like, hey, roll me your brain stat. Roll me your brain stat for your Digimon, and then they roll it, and your Digimon's like, hurt dirt, hey, you want me to do that thing? I'm going to do something better, and then just take a rock and start smashing it. I mean, like, you really need to, I mean, if by all that definition, it's like, yeah, you can still have that happen, you just need the GM to really roll for it, but I wouldn't want anyone to, like, play another Digimon for any other reason.
Like, only for the Digimon and only for that, like, I'm just saying the DM should be sort of involved in its not just in its development, but in what it does, because some people may, well, I'm going to use my Digimon to do X, Y, Z, but your Digimon, by your Digimon's intelligence, because their Digimon are intelligent beings and whatnot, they would know we shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Like, kind of, because they're playing kids from 7 to 12, the Digimon, depending on the Digimon, like the smarter Digimon, Tentomon,
and such, right?
Such, would count as kind of like a common sense barrier, like in Dungeons and Dragons, like the DM common sense power, like, hey, yeah, I want to do this crazy, stupid, insane old thing. You probably should not. You get the feeling that you probably shouldn't do that crazy, stupid, insane old thing, kind of thing. And they should be using the Digimon kind of that way. But, of course, that depends on the players and that depends on it. Like, the Digimon, but it just feels kind of wrong to have them both have control over their Digimon, have complete control over their Digimon while having complete control of the kids too, because story-wise, things you want to do with the Digimon or whatnot, you can't really do because you have to tell them, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
Again, like, I think, like, it's still based on the whole, I'm going to give it a fair chance and saying, like, you really have to sync with the DM with this. Like, if the DM's not paying attention, they're like, I'm going to have my Tentomon, like, probably try to lift a giant boulder over its head. And you're thinking to yourself, like, well, Tentomon knows it can't lift giant boulders. It's literally a tiny bug, so you're just going to kill your Digimon. I'm going to have you roll first. And then your Digimon's going to be like, no, bro. That big rock, that ain't going to happen. I was just kind of kidding, type thing. And if they're like, well, what if I wanted to lift the rock? Well, it's not going to. It's smart enough to know it shouldn't.
I wonder how this is going to go with deletion and making of Digi-Eggs and everything like that. If this if this book even like mentions it.
So, but there's the size category and then the speed that goes with it. Rounding out the Digimon with like questions about food and their goals and desires and all that stuff. Advanced Digimon creation. When digivolving or if a new player happens to join the group in the middle of a game, one has the option of making an advanced Digimon. A GM has the final say, and if a player can make a advanced Digimon, though, this is done by adding more DP for the player to spend as well as additional wound boxes. Game Masters, when allowing advanced Digimon for new players, consider the overall power level of the current group of characters and how they would perhaps benefit from having an addition to the group that is equal to their current Digimon's level or Digivolution. If a group can consistently reach the champion level and then allow a Digimon that is permanently a champion is easily done as the same for an ultimate level. Other times the GM might wish to have one start off with a Digimon that is an overall lower stage than the rest, having it catch up quickly with the others in terms of power, or having a game centered around raising and caring for a Digimon from a Digitama, then use the same rules for building higher level Digimon. The rules for building advanced Digimon are the same as building a starting Digimon. Reference the following chart for the amount of DP you can use, as well as the increased wound boxes that the advanced Digimon or basic Digimon receive. So, you're building a rookie right here. So you're telling me if you Digivolve to a champion, you get about 15 more points. Then 15 after that, then 15 after that. So it's only 15 points per level.
Alright. From what I can tell with this, they're kind of trying to make it like they're really building off of season 1 with this, because if you remember, Kairi going in with Gatomon, which was a champion level Digimon, where everyone else still had rookies, like, well, they could Digivolve past that from that point, but everybody, they commonly stayed in their rookie forms. Agumon,
right?
They were always in the rookie form, but Gatomon was always in champion form. So,
but that's because like wasn't she like essentially trained up and stayed like that? So she like just felt like she was able to hold the champion form longer.
No, she was introduced in champion form and they just kept her like that.
But like in her backstory, she stayed. No, but in her backstory, she was a Salmon.
Yeah, and she only degenerates back to Salmon like 1 or 2 different times.
Yeah, but I think she's able to hold that Gatomon form as easily as everything else.
Yeah,
it must be from the training she received from being under Devimon's control.
Mm-hmm.
Devimon, yeah.
Which is why they're building it this way. It's like, hold on, my phone is ringing.
Okay. So I mean, yeah, you could. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you could say they're basing it off of season 1 because they don't have really anything for armor Digivolving. Which I mean, I guess if you really wanted to build the character for that, I mean, you can.
I mean, this is more than just season 1 because they do have the transformations, and transformations weren't really in season 1 Digimon. Like Omnimon was like a DNA Digivolution, but it wasn't really a transformation. There really wasn't a transformation for it back then. But so things like Vmon and Pahiltramon.
I feel like Omnimon is more than a Mega though.
Mega Plus.
Mega Plus Ultra.
It's a Mega Plus. It is a Mega, but.
So the mechanics of Digimon. So we have rolling, which the TN level, it says is the target number. So you want to roll a 10 for an easy task, like a very easy task, to a 21, which is all but impossible except for the right circumstances and a lot of luck.
3d6 plus attribute. You know they could have made this a lot easier by using using a different dice. Why d6 for
Because d6, everyone usually has accesses to d6. And I'm guessing, based off of what we've been reading, they've based this system off Big Eye, Small Mouth. Because the way that everything's set up has the same coding for it.
You're right. It does seem very much like Big Eye, Small Mouth, but kind of like optimized.
So, and then you have stunts, which by doing a stunt, your GM will reward you with a +1 to whatever dice roll your character might be attempting, all the way up to a +3. Teamwork is often essential to survive the digital world. If kids want to work together to complete difficult tasks, have them decide who is going to be the one leading all of them. Other players just roll the associated tribute, and if they roll a 14 or higher, the leader gets a +2 to his or her roll for the task.
Wait a second.
Teamwork. So it's a system roll.
Yeah. But you're telling the players, hey, you gotta tell which one of y'all is the most important of all of you. And
no, I know, because it's... All right, let me put it this way.
Leader.
Would you trust me to put together an airplane?
Would I trust you to put together an airplane? Have you ever put together an airplane before?
That's not the question. Would you trust me to put together an airplane?
Again,
If we were in this situation before anything else, and you just had to pick someone, like, hey, you just pick one person out of the group, and like, hey, who wants to do this thing? And I'm just asking first, like, would you trust me to put together an airplane?
If I knew you had prior experience, yes. If I knew that you didn't, or you were shitty at putting shit together, no.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because the next question was going to be, it's like, okay, why would you think I am qualified to do this? Like, but then that would come into the question, and it's like, who's able, so instead of who's more important, it's like, hey, who's able to decipher virus code while we hold off the Digimon? Or, hey, who can honestly, like, try to charm the Lady Devimon to not kill us, possibly?
Mm-hmm.
Which,
I
don't know. I think I would bang Lady Devimon. Maybe.
Dude. People are listening.
And? I have no shame. Anyway, so Digivolution. Once certain conditions have been fulfilled, a partner Digimon gains the ability to Digivolve past their rookie level form and into a champion, ultimate, or even mega level. These basic conditions are often best summed up as being the partner Digimon well taken care of, their Digidestined partner is in trouble, and the reason for Digivolving falls in line with one of the virtues. As a rule of thumb, Digimon gain the ability to reach champion level when they've defeated 5 foes of equal or greater strength. Ultimate, when they've defeated a total of 10 or more enemies of champion level or higher. And Mega Digivolution is often a thing of legends, requiring a total of 15 defeated enemies with additional requirements. Quite often, Digivolving past champion level requires the collection of objects of importance. A crest, tag, Digi-Egg, or even the spirits of legendary warriors. Sometimes goals that are more concrete are desired. A GM can also decide that partner Digimon is ready to Digivolve by meeting certain achievement-based milestones. Though these milestones should be kept a secret from players, least they start attacking everything in sight so they can reach higher levels quicker.
This is the way that I think that should be run, rather than the whole, you attack this many Digimon of this type, and then I get that.
Like the milestone thing.
The hidden milestones is that's the way that I think GMs should run that. Like, it can either quote unquote be story driven, or certain things happen in the story, and then your Digimon awakens its power within them, and they're able to Digivolve to the next level, and stuff like that. That's the way that it should be run. Be careful with the whole grinding version of that, because people will grind.
So, in some situations, a partner Digimon may perform what is known as a dark Digivolution. This is done when the Digivice channels the darker emotions of humanity, such as fear, anger, and hate, and catalyzes those emotions into raw power. The process is traumatic and often opens psychological wounds previously thought healed. When performing a dark Digivolution, your partner Digimon immediately goes to ultimate level and becomes a dark mirror of what is normally like after you clear off all marked off boxes of one of your torments. It comes under the Game Master's control for a time and goes on a bloody rampage looking to destroy anything and everything in sight, including its tamer. If a player wishes to attempt to control the Digimon in the middle of a Dark Digivolution, they may attempt a willpower roll and a target number of 15 once per turn as a simple action. Success means that the Rampage Digimon is under control for their turn. Failure indicates that the Digimon is still rampaging and out of control.
So Skull Greymon.
When you Digivolve to the next level, you essentially build a new Digimon with increased attributes using the table on the Advanced Digimon Rules in page 10. It is best to have the route you wish to travel, keeping in mind that a Digimon's line of evolution is never straight and linear. As long as a Digimon and its next level share two of the following, they can conceivably be used for Digivolution, type, family, or attribute. An Agumon can become a Greymon, Monochromon, or a Tyromon. Or Tyrannomon, after all. Several resources exist as a complete catalog of every Digimon that has appeared in the television shows, card games, and video games, such as the main Wikimon main page or digimon.wikia.wiki/Digimon Wiki. Wikimon is useful in that it lists all possible Digivolutions one monster can make, but prefers to use the Japanese names while the Digimon Wikia uses the English ones. Players may wish to have all the forms that their partner Digimon can take pre-stated out and ready to go at a moment's notice. A new form comes into play with all its wound boxes unmarked and open.
Oh, this is going to be complicated as fuck.
It is a very, very neat system they put together. They use the same system as when you wanted to make technically a Pokemon in Big Eye Small Mouth, and they're using the companionship thing. It works. It's actually kind of really neat. I like it. So I'm here for this.
What I mean is that, okay, so you have one Digimon. I'm just thinking in training. You have one in-training Digimon that it can Digivolve into several different rookies. Then you have those rookies that can Digivolve into several different champions. Those champions that can just Digivolve into several different ultimates. And those ultimates that can usually Digivolve into 1, 2, or 3 megas between all of them.
So what I would do as a DM anyway is as I want to make sure everyone gets a Digi-Egg. I would like to make sure everyone possibly gets a way, like, hey, if they Digi Dark Vault, like, what would they be? I want to make sure everyone kind of has their stuff planned out and what they would do. But, I mean, that would just be a lot of character sheets, essentially, in the end. So I guess it really just depends. Character advancement. At the end of each session, characters receive experience points. These experience points can be spent to increase number attributes and skills, as well as modify aspects and mark off torment boxes. Spending these experience points represents the tamer's growth in honing their skills and abilities, as well as growing up and becoming people fit to be the saviors of both the real world and the digital one. In between game sessions, you may spend a number of experience points to do the following: increase attributes, increase skills, modify an aspect, and mark off torment. Increasing attributes costs a number of experience points equal to the new rating of the attribute times 3. If I were to increase my character's body from 2 to 3, it would cost 9. Increasing skills is much cheaper, only costing the new rating in experience points. If I desired to increase my skills from 3 to 4, it would only cost me 4 experience. Modifying an aspect is a more involved process. This is to be done when one is unhappy with an aspect their character possesses and it has not become relevant during play. One can spend 3 experience points to modify that aspect into something more relevant with GM approval. Finally, you have the option of spending your acquired experience points to mark off torment. If you have been making headway in your issues with the GM approval, you will spend a number of experience points equal to the number of marked boxes of your torment +1. So, yeah, what you said before, it's like, hey, if you have not worked out your stuff, then you can't spend points. So that's what they've done. All right. Then this is talking about bonus development points, and sometimes you reach the development point threshold for the next level of evolution. Give out experience points between 1 to 2, maybe 3 XP. Combat. How does combat work? Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, they went into detail.
Simple attacks, direct single actions.
So they have attack, simple action. They have a clash, simple action. They have digivolve, which is a simple action. They have a direct, which is simple action. Move, which is a simple action. Move in hazardous terrain, which is a complex action. Scan the scene, which is a simple action. Use an item, which is a complex action. And use a skill, which is a complex action.
Two simple actions and an interrupt action you can do. In two simple actions, a player has a choice of making an interrupt action. This special once per round action could be used to make some sort of skill check for a round, and can be for a human character or for a Digimon to do an interpose action. In an interpose action, a Digimon takes a hit that would otherwise be meant for someone else, like your childish ass.
Right.
The interpose action is covered more later.
More detail later on. Once all participants of combat have had a turn, the round ends and loops back around to the person or Digimon with the highest initiative score until either one side is knocked out or surrenders. Initiative. In combat, players roll 3d6, plus the Digimon's agility to determine the initiative order. Lone Digimon roll 3d6 plus their agility. If there happens to be a tie, the victor is the one with the higher agility score. If the tie still persists, then the GM should favor the kid over the lone Digimon.
Wow.
The players and Digimon then go down the initiative list and start again whenever everyone has had a turn. Kids and their partner Digimon act on the same turn. If kids have time to make a plan of attack, then they can add intelligence to their initiative roll. In the event of an ambush, the ambushing party adds an additional 5 to their initiative. Range and movement, which is for their combat. Attacks and damage. So let's see.
So is this a miniature game or no?
What?
A miniature game.
No.
Like with Dungeons and Dragons, you use a map and
I guess you could use miniatures for this, but it doesn't seem like it. When attacking with your Digimon's various attacks, you roll a number of 6-sided die equal to your partner's accuracy stat, counting the successful dice. The target of the attack then rolls their dodge as a dice pool. Successful dice from the opponent's dodge roll negate the successful dice from your accuracy roll. If any successful dice are left over from your accuracy roll, then you hit and deal damage. If there are no net successful dice of your opponent, if there are no net successful dice or your opponent rolled more on their dodge roll than your accuracy, then you have missed.
Hold on, roll that back for me. So,
in other words, if you have just one attack, and it goes through,
okay,
even if I blocked all your other ones, you hit.
Okay,
that's the end of it. That's essentially what it is.
So you roll to make the attack, you roll for your accuracy of your attack, your opponent rolls to dodge said attack,
and then if they've negated all your success dice, then
they dodge.
Yep. An example of basic combat. Tai and Agumon are facing down a rogue Greymon controlled by the Dark Ring attached to its tail. God, that sounds familiar. Anyway, Tai player starts by having Agumon shoot off his Pepper Breath attack from a long range, mostly to test out the giant dinosaur's defenses. Agumon has an accuracy stat of 7 and a damage of 6. Tai's player roll... Tai players roll 7d6 and get a 5, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 2 successful dice for Agumon. Greymon is a large and unagile creature, but possesses a thick hide. He has a dodge of 5 and an armor stat of 9. The GM rolls 5d6 for Greymon's dodge pool and rolls 4, 1, 4, 4, 6. That's 1 success and subtracts 1 from Agumon's accuracy. With 1 net success, Agumon inflicts 7 total damage. The GM subtracts Greymon's armor rating from the total damage and ends up mostly nullifying the attack. The GM announces that the pepper breath hits the possessed behemoth, but it annoys it more than anything. The GM then marks off a single wound box for the Greymon and lets Ty have his last simple action. His player uses it to call for help from Sora, Mimi, and the others to jump in. They are going to need the multiple attack penalty to help whittle down Greymon to pacify the giant Digi-Dinosaur.
Okay, so what it seems like to me is they're actually introducing some wargaming elements into this too. For example, Warhammer kind of has the same thing. When you're doing attacks in accuracy from dodge and armor, whether or not you take damage or the damage is absorbed by the armor and whatnot. It's kind of has that same thing. So what they're doing is they're taking Big Eye, Small Mouth, and they're taking the Warhammer wargaming thing and throwing it together to make this Digimon game.
Stances. In combat, there are 3 types of stances: offense, defense, and neutral. Stances modify the accuracy and damage dice pools of the Digimon in question, and they adopt either of these stances as a simple action. In an offensive stance, you increase the accuracy dice pool by half and the amount you roll. The decrease and decrease your dodge pool by a similar amount. If you would roll 8 dice for accuracy and 6 for dodge, you instead roll 12 dice for accuracy and only 3 for dodge. Defense stance is the opposite. You'd roll dodge, you increase the pool by half dice size rolled, and decrease the accuracy pool by half. So if you roll 8 for accuracy and 6 for dodge, you would instead roll 4 for accuracy and 9 for dodge. The neutral stance is the one that each Digimon starts combat in and does not modify either dice pool.
So offensive stance, defensive stance, and your normal.
So then there are the attack effects again, which we went over, but not in great detail. But I mean, for most people playing an RPG, there's fear, which target cannot attack you or clash with you. Immobilize, can't move. Knockback, target up to your size is forced to move into an adjacent zone. Taunt, target player takes -3 penalty to attack against anyone but you. Confused, target takes -3 penalty to accuracy.
Nick,
what?
I believe, from what I'm hearing and what you're reading and whatnot, that this game, you should actually play it on a map like in Dungeons & Dragons and whatnot.
Yes, you should, but it's not required. But, I mean, you should be able to because, I mean, it's reading out like a D&D manual. So, of course, you're going to want to, do that. And same thing was going on for Big Eye, Small Mouth, but we never played with a map for that either. We just pretty much asked for whether or not you could do something.
The thing is, they have mechanics in here for knockback, for range, for knockback, for range. They have mechanics in here for keeping that Digimon to a spot and whatnot, and accuracy. So you would think they would have the same thing for like terrain, which it does. They have moving into terrain, moving into hazardous terrain, that sort of thing. So like having the Digimon, and the enemy Digimon on a board, and having to figure out, okay, how can I get past this situation? Can we sneak past? Can we do this? Can we do that? Blah, blah, blah. This one, I feel, especially in a digital world sort of sense, you're going to need a map and like pieces so that you can correctly and adversely run the game. Otherwise, it's going to get very confusing very quick.
Yeah.
Especially with the mechanics that the book itself is.
Right. I got it. So you have Poison, which, Poison has 3 times the duration of other effect moves. Takes 1 damage per round. Stun, takes no action during the duration of the effect. Blind, target's attack and defense and speed are halved. Charm, target's actions are controlled by you for the duration of the effect. And Paralysis, target can take no action, takes a -3 penalty to defense for a duration of the effect. It was clashing and the clash ends. So there's clashing, which we keep reading about. Sometimes attacks are as simple, and two Digimon in the scrap will clash. Clashing Digimon engage in a mix of close quarters combat and grappling, often using just brute strength and raw power to attempt to overpower the participant. Both participants have to be close to each other, and the one who initiates the clash rolls 3d6 plus body stat against the target number of 10 plus your opponent's agility stat. You gain a +2 or -2 bonus for each rank and size difference between you two. +2 for each category you are larger than, -2 for each category you are smaller in. If you succeed, then you control the clash. Okay. Let's see. So you can perform actions in the clash, and there's things you can do in it to essentially make it control. So you can attack, throw, end the clash, or pin, which seems like, there's ways to throw and still do damage and stuff, but you have to control the clash to do that. Interceding: if a kid or Digimon is targeted by an attack and they cannot defend themselves, the remaining half of the pair can choose to interpose themselves between the target and the attack. This action is called interceding and is quite simple. The accuracy roll does not change, just the target. The new target is not allowed a dodge roll to negate damage. This might trigger Digivolution in a partner Digimon to give them the power boost they need to win. Digivolving in combat. In combat, usually after certain conditions have been fulfilled, a Digimon will Digivolve into the next rank. This usually happens when the kid is in danger or is fighting a stronger opponent, though the GM has final say in if a Digimon can Digivolve or not. The change to the next stage takes up a simple action in combat, and the Digimon loses all marked off wound boxes and gains the stated out attributes and attacks of its new form. And then there's defeat. Kids in combat, so there's its own fight pool for that. Game mastering. So this is just tips on how to navigate your digital world and the enemies in it, what exactly you're going to be doing for it. Adversaries and antagonists. Again, these are things that you should be doing. Digivice designs. So they got the card reader, data scanner, digital map, the communicator, Digivolve pause, digital detector, digigate, storage device. Those are neat. Okay. I think the card reader is season 4, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Season 3 is the card reader.
Okay.
Season 4 was the spirit evolution.
Dark area. Okay, so these are the family members, or these are the families of Digimon, alliances. One last note: as a GM, your duty is leading the players to tell a story that your players will enjoy. If someone isn't happy with a certain rule, or if you find that the game you wish to run would be better off deviating from the rules as presented here in the book, you are quite free to ignore, modify, and invent new rules as you need them. Or don't. Go out there, play some Digimon, and have fun.
In other words, Rule 0, the golden rule. Whatever you want works, as long as it works for you. You need to have fun.
So, in the end, my thoughts on the book is, if this was a small published piece for $10 a book, I'd buy it. Because for it being 20 pages, 22 pages overall, it tells you the rules. It was a very simple book, so.
How can I say? The book was okay. It's alright. I'm not sure. I want to play test it first before I actually bought it, but it looks like they have somewhat of an idea of what they wanted to do. And again, this is something that first, before I actually purchase a full book, I'd want to have playtesting material and try it out first.
But this sounds to me, it sounds like they went into a lot of detail to make sure that each of the Digivolutions and everything have their own thing about them, which works for me. So I'm okay with that. It was pretty good. So this will conclude this episode of the Archive, episode 2, and we will see you around for character creation at one point. Have a good one.